Saturday morning. What's up, people? We are here, the War Report, back and live with you. We got our pregame show today. The Tigers are facing the Volunteers. We about to go down and beat the South Purple and South Orange out of somebody, hopefully. Because anyway, let me get to the formalities. You know what I'm talking about. We got us on this YouTube stream and on the Facebook stream as well. Y'all make sure y'all are checking us out there. Click like and subscribe wherever you are right now. Make sure you are liking the channel so we can grow. Hey, listen, just for FYI, it might not mean nothing to you, but we just hit 100 subscribers on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? That's a real thing. All right. I'm sorry, I was watching Kevin Hart, and so now all of a sudden his persona. Anyway, the War Report on Twitter and Instagram, we are there as well. TikTok, TW Report. We will be back with more stuff on those social medias very soon. Anyway, to today's game, Auburn, Tennessee. How we feeling today, fellas?
Feeling pretty good, man, because Tennessee looks trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So go
I
ahead,
said
Mike.
it
My
on
bad.
Wednesday, so before we left, that I really believe that this is another week for us to continue to build on what happened the previous 2 weeks, right? So we're going to learn a lot about how these coaches managed off weeks with back-to-back buys, essentially, right? And this is here's where I'm at. I don't even say nothing else for the rest of the show if I say that this is a must win for Gus Malzahn. 100%. Right. He
Yeah.
has to win this game. Losing this game is inexcusable. And I thought maybe at the beginning of the season that COVID might give him a pass, right, on some, on what this season turns out to be. But the truth is that, the feeling of the fan base about losing to South Carolina and what this season could have been, right? As a matter of fact, it should have worked in reverse. I mean, he should have hit him with the Uno reverse card this season. And it should have been, instead of just being a throwaway season, this could have been the season where they had a chance to sneak up on people and accomplish something.
Yeah.
Because, listen, the way Bama claims championships, if we had won this one this year, we're claiming it. No asterisk, no cap, right? Like, so I would say, he's got to win this game. We know we've got the talking points down. We've done it all season, right? We know what Bo is, right? So I just expect them to manage him, manage the quarterback, right? I want to see more improvement from the offensive line. Tennessee is a bad team, and we need to beat bad teams because we started off, I thought, a bad team, but we are not a non-talented team, right? So we're a talented team, and I expect talented teams to be bad teams. Period. So listen, Tennessee had the same. They they've had time to prepare, right? And I'll be interested to see what they come out with. You can't overlook this one by any stretch. I don't think Auburn has the luxury of overlooking anybody this year, but he's got to win. So what I expect to see is I expect to see a win, and I expect us to look not necessarily decisive in the win, but I expect to see us execute properly, right? I expect to see proper execution today because with as much time as they had to prepare, there is zero excuse to not, right? It's not the first game of the year. You had a couple weeks off. You had some time to get people healthy. Go out there and execute and show us that we have something to look forward to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually do expect us to look decisive in today's win. I don't know if it's going to be like a blowout situation, but I do expect at least a two-score victory, and I expect it to be Tennessee trying to come back to tighten it up, not us pulling away late. Like, I
Right.
think we need to be dominant from beginning to the end of the game. Get out early. Whether Tennessee scores early or not, that's irrelevant. I think we need to be scoring consistently, and I think our defense needs to be getting timely stops and putting us in positions to have short fields. Like, I need to see all of that. Now, Jared Garantano is supposed to be back from his concussion thing that he had. So he's supposed to be playing today. We'll see how much time he actually gets, or whether or not they're going to stick with the backup. But I don't think it should matter. I don't think him being back is going to be that big of a difference for what our defense should be able to do to them. So
Shouldn't be.
yeah,
Matter
I
of fact,
expect us
our
to play well.
defense should be, turnover, should be prone to turning them over because they are Garantano. Listen, man, Kentucky has absolutely no offense, and Tennessee literally gave them 21 points directly from the offense to the Kentucky scoreboard. There's no reason that a Kevin Steele, who again, I think he's probably better against pass offenses than he is against run heavy offenses, as far as Kevin Steele's ability to game plan. We've got a lot of experience in the secondary. There's no reason with the time that they've had. And Gus Malzahn even said I think it was over this course of this week, that they pretty much expected that Tennessee was the next game they were going to play during the Mississippi State week. He said they
Right.
saw the numbers, the reports coming out, and even before the conference called it, he was like, we're going to game plan for Tennessee. So they've been ready. They've been game planning. There's no reason not to win this game by double digits, especially
Right.
after we had a very underwhelming and unexpected loss to Tennessee at home 2 years ago,
Right.
to a worse Tennessee team. When you're the better team, you got to
Right.
win the game. Gus lets worse teams beat us when we are the more talented team, and this has got to be one of those times he can't do. He's already had it once this year with South Carolina, which was unforgivable, and that was the SEC West contention game for us, and that was it. That took us out of contention for the West altogether. He can't have another one. We thought nobody was going to get got in this COVID year as far as coaches. Muschamp got, and I didn't expect it. I don't know if any of us expected it, but I was looking at it like, all right, Gus, you mess around and lose this Tennessee game, and maybe a crazy Mississippi State last game of the year game too. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you can get got too. I wouldn't mind it.
Right. So the wheels fall off the wagon. I mean, at this point, we have to assume we know without a fact that Bama is better than us. Doesn't mean we can't win that game by some Iron Bowl miracle, but we know they're a better team than we are. They have a better quarterback. They got better receivers all around. They've got better running backs. I mean, they're just a better team, right?
Yeah.
At this point, I'm giving Texas A&M a slight edge based on how their quarterback's playing. Their quarterback's playing better than ours, right? And maybe our defense will have
I understand why you are saying that. Yes.
Like I think that if he continues to protect the ball the way he has this season, right? Maybe our defense has some ability to force some turnovers versus Kevin Mind, but that's by no means a guaranteed L. I'm giving Texas A&M a slight edge, right? If we beat Tennessee and we beat Mississippi State in the game that got rescheduled, you're talking about a 6-4 season. Right? If you lose to Tennessee, you're 5-5. You're now looking at a 5-5 season is realistic. On the Vernon Kennard show, like Vernon was a little bit more optimistic about our record chances. I mean, he was anywhere between 7-3 to seeing us win out, right, and finishing 8-2. Right. I wish I had Vernon's optimism about how this season is going to finish, but we generally have not finished seasons well under Gus Malzahn, right? So, I keep going back to it. Like, the wheels could fall off the wagon today if this isn't a win, right? Like, if somehow, like you said, Brian, we see that Gus Malzahn team that comes out and underperforms versus a less talented team.
Mm-hmm.
You lose to Bama, you lose to Texas A&M, and at that point you've lost the team. So losing to Mississippi State is not completely out of the question, right? And not because they're better than us, right? I mean, again, a wagon with no wheels doesn't go anywhere, man. It's just on the ground, right? So like, we're going to be sitting on the ground at that point in the season, and now you're talking about a 4 or 6 season, and I think that gets the buyout talks going seriously. So 6-4 guarantees Gus has a job next year, but you got to beat Tennessee and you got to beat Mississippi State, right? And you need to be competitive. You need to not get embarrassed by Bama. We need I know they're a better team than us, but we need to be competitive in that game. But this game will tell us a lot about whether we stand a chance, because listen, it feels like the season just started, but Iron Bowl is next week, fellas, and then we have 2 more games after that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yes, we are living in the upside down right now. right? So it's no longer, your swan song is no longer the Iron Bowl, right? And it wasn't going to be regardless of COVID this year, right? We always had Texas A&M as our last game this year. So
Yeah.
I just think, man, he better light a fire on this team. Again, these guys have all the talent. I'm looking at the coaching to say, how are they getting these guys fired up to come out here, right? If I'm Gus, how am I going to get these guys fired up to come out here and save my job this year, right? Like, because this job is truly on the line, and we have some inexplicable losses to Tennessee over the last couple of years, right? When we are highly favored to win. Well, Brian, what's the line on this game? Do you know the line on this game?
We're favored by 10.5. So that's dicey.
They got covered.
If you're betting it, that's dicey because we could be up 17, they score a late touchdown, and then you're losing your money. But I expect a double-digit win. I don't think that's out of the question. Just looking at their offense and how our defense has gotten better, we should definitely be able to just stifle them. Score. I mean, even if we're talking like 6 points in one quarter, 10 points in one quarter for us, 6 points and then 10 points, which is kind of what I expect. I expect an average of somewhere between 7 and 8 points a quarter. And that should be able to carry us to a win because I don't think they should average more than a field goal per quarter, just overall production over the course of the game. I don't expect them to have more than 14 points. I expect us, simply from ball control and our defense giving us the ball back, we've got to be able to put up a couple of touchdowns and a few field goals, even if their defense came to play at the very least. So I expect to be able to win by double digits.
Yeah, I haven't been super impressed by Tennessee post after those first two games where they looked okay. They looked good week one. They looked beatable week two. And then since then, they haven't really done anything. And so I just don't know what about this Tennessee team is scary. So this 100% in my mind comes down to whether or not our team comes to play. Because I don't think, even though Jeremy Pruitt, I'm not going to discount his ability as a defensive coordinator against Gus Malzahn. He has schemed well.
He knows.
However, we still have to remember this is not just Gus calling these plays. Chad Morris is going to have every hand in this. Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt, he hasn't. I don't think Chad Morris scares them, but still, what they have to do is look for the wrinkles. And the wrinkles that Chad is going to put out there, hopefully, coupled with our offensive line continuing to get better, and we've got Tank back there in the backfield who has been a beast. So, if anything, I look for us to have the same game plan, which we are going to do, which is sustain drives. We're going to control the ball, and we're going to choke the clock out. We're just basically not going to let them have the ball, go down there, put up points, and then have our defense play bend but don't break, which is what Steele has done better than I think any other.
And indeed, as bad as Garantano is, right? And then when they do have the ball, we take it from them. Big boy football. This little brother never controls the rules, right? We're big brother. You take the ball from him and you play your game. That's what I expect to see today. Because let's not forget, Jeremy Pruitt was the DC on the other side of that second half defense in that national championship game. I was there. I watched it in person. It was a tragedy to watch in person, right? But I think that he seemed to have Gus's number over the years,
right?
Whether it's at Bama or at Florida State, or Georgia. He was at Georgia right for a little bit, right? Like every time we go up against this guy, it just doesn't turn out good. So, to Ike's point about Chad Morris, the Chad Morris effect, I think that's going to be key to us solving our Jeremy Pruitt problem.
Right.
Just another mind, because he clearly has Gus figured out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I hope Gus sat this one out this week and was just like, "Hey, Chad, you got it."
I don't want to give Jeremy Pruitt too much credit because in that national championship game, kick return for a touchdown, a defense that was playing way too well for way too long, because we know what our defense was that year. It was kind of smoke and mirrors for a little bit, and then they just adjusted. So it was as I think it was more their offense warming up to our defense, because we got that late touchdown by Trey May. I remember thinking that too much time. We got the touchdown we needed because we were running the system and they were
So I
gassed.
said,
So we got what we needed. 31 points on that team should have been plenty. So when we have the guys, it's kind of still indicative of what Gus is. When he has the guys to make the system work, I don't know if anybody's really going to stop him. Is the defense
right.
sound, and do you have the guys to make your system work, Gus? And if not, why can't you go get the guys? That's been the problem. So any other year where
Right, but that
them,
year,
go ahead.
But that year, right? Like the hallmark of those Auburn teams, similar to 2010, was you line up and you run the ball straight down their throats. In 2010, it was Cam, right? Cam could not be stopped.
We got the guy,
and he could fall for first down from 3rd and 3. And then you had Michael Dyer on the back end, and he was in the we had Trey Mason come after him, the same kind of ball running back with low center of gravity, kind of just a little ball of muscle, really hard to tackle. And then in 2014, we had Trey Mason, who was a first down machine. Like low key, in the last 10 years, Trey Mason, hear me out, has been the best back we've had in the last 10 years.
I don't think you'll get an argument from anybody about it.
I mean, of course, Kerryon's close because he is a very smart lane. He reads. Kerryon reads, and Trey was just more unstoppable.
Right. He didn't have take the top off speed, right?
Right.
But he did have patience in the backfield. He had just enough explosiveness to hit the hole, and he could not be tackled. I remember them talking about every time we handed him the ball. Right. Right. Yeah, true. And listen, I'll get back to that, going all the way back to 2004, that when Auburn has been the most successful, we've actually, in a run game, we've actually had an NFL prototype fullback, right? Leading the charge. And if you want to know which way we're going to run the ball, just follow the fullback on the field. That's in Gus's offense. So.
Oh man, we in the past
too
much, man.
Stop.
We stuck now. This makes me sad.
But
we're reaching back. We like some old guys, 35, talking about their high school days and how good it was. We ain't gonna be that good again.
but that's what we need to see a little bit of that today. And that's my point, right? Line the ball up, right? Give the ball to Tank, and just be better than the guy on the other side of the ball than you. That's historically when we've been the best in the trenches, right? And then what Isaac is talking about with ball control can happen, right? But we have to establish the run today, take some pressure off Bo Nix, give him a chance to settle into the game so that he doesn't have to make every throw, right? And then when he does scramble around to do all that bull that we hate, right? Like it's easier to stomach that stuff. Because instead of him putting us behind the chains, we're 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, right? Like getting 4, 5, 6 yards on first down, rather than incomplete 2nd and 10, and then they run the ball, get stuffed, 3rd and 8. Like that's what we've been watching all season.
Yeah.
Now you need Bo Nix to throw the ball beyond 10 yards, right? When the defense knows he's going to throw it. And that just hasn't turned out well for us. So, the run game has to help put Bo in better positions today. And against a bad team, this is a good opportunity to fine-tune all that, right? It really is a good opportunity to fine-tune all that so that we can prepare for Bama, right? Because I don't know if anything will stick in their crowd more. This could be one of the greatest Iron Bowl wins ever. And what's on the line for them, and also what's on the line for us, right? I mean, you beat Bama and you finish out the season. Auburn, very uncharacteristically, finishes in the top 10, right? Those are the stark differences, between what happened between winning this game and losing this game. You're talking about firing your coach or going to a New Year's 6 if you win out.
Yeah.
Those are the possibilities for Auburn with the games that we have left, right? So, I think that our fans would like to see us, go to New Year's 6, win that game, finish 11-2. That's a successful season. That's one of Gus Malzahn's best seasons ever. And then, if you want to talk about coaching, Brian, was it you just told me that Gus Malzahn is on like Coach of the Year watch or something?
Yeah, they added him to a Coach of the Year award list. I mean, it's kind of like it's a super long list. Where it's like
I would say at this point they're just throwing names out there. It's like, oh, he hasn't played. I mean, he hasn't been that terrible.
But still, man, the audacity
Yeah,
to see
just getting out participation.
I mean, listen, they're you have to think about like most of these coaches haven't even played full seasons this year. Like it's really hard to predict who is the coach of the year. So it's just like, okay, what teams are still in the top 25? All of those coaches, basically. That's what you're seeing on that list. Right?
Where if they made a run, then we could say we saw it start, so we put them on the list.
That's exactly what this is. That's the same thing like Tank. His numbers don't dictate him being on the Maxwell watch list, right? Like we can see the talent there, and they're trying to predict the future and say, we call this week 9 of the season that Tank Bigsby was going to have this breakout going through the end of the year, right? Like that's all this is. And not to say that Tank doesn't deserve any accolades that he's getting. He is an awesome back. His numbers don't show that though, just because we didn't really start running him until like the 4th game of the season.
Well, I don't know.
The third.
I don't know.
Arkansas.
Look at his numbers though.
Yeah, but
look at his numbers.
Yeah, listen,
but visually,
like 100 and something yards.
Game 2. That's from the second game when he was the first back. He was the number 1 running back because of injuries. We saw it there. So if anybody else has been watching us, you go, okay, that guy's the reason why
I get the prediction of where he's going to land. I'm talking about numbers wise, and look at the other backs and compare his numbers to them. I'm saying nationwide.
Yeah, he was the second leading back in the SEC though.
In the SEC.
Okay, nationwide, but still, right? Like, as a freshman. Right.
You know what I mean? In our conference, I'm talking about
his numbers weren't paltry.
Right. He's talking. Ike's saying based on a nationwide award, he shouldn't be on there because nationwide there are definitely more players. But again, it's a weird season.
He could.
But who did they do it against, though? But who did they do it against?
But everybody is just playing their conference right now, though. That's the thing. Nobody's got cupcake games padding their stats this year. Well, a couple of Big 12 schools do.
I disagree. The ACC has been all cupcake games. The ACC.
I mean, they're playing who's in their conference. I mean, if that's the case, nobody in the ACC should ever win an award because half the conference is trash. Yeah, I mean, I know you agree with that.
No. It means that if you're playing in that conference, your numbers should be astronomical based on who you're going up against. But if you're factoring in competition and what kind of numbers you're putting up against better competition, I'm not saying that Tank belongs at the top of the list. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is I could see how they might include him on the list like that based on what he's accomplished against the competition that he's gone up against, right? And then if you factor, and then to Ike's point about how they're trying to predict the future, right? If you look at who he has, the opportunity that he has left, I think he belongs on the bottom half of that list.
Yeah, I can buy bottom half of a list based upon what they're trying to predict for the future and hope to see for it because he should be able to stack up some yardage if the offensive line continues to be good. Because let's just be honest, Bama has still looked underwhelming on defense. Texas A&M has looked decent but not great against the run this year. We've got Tennessee today. We've got Mississippi State. He could rack up a couple of 200-yard games in at least 3 of the last 4 games this season. Feasibly could do that, right? Just based upon the
and he should be fresh.
And
he should be fresh for those games, right?
Yeah.
Like
if he gets to split carries with a more healthy with our running backs getting more healthy, if he doesn't have to go out there and run the ball 40 times to do that, and he can still get big yardage because he's breaking tackles, my God, he could have today. He might put up 200 yards. But anyway, before we let's go and get into our keys to the game, so we can talk about like what do we need to see for Auburn to win, and who do we want to see splash on the screen a lot. And I will start with you,
Mike. Today, it's to me. This is the Tank Bigsby show today, right? Ball control, offensive line has to dominate. Tank needs to run for over 100 yards in this game easily, right? I expect to see him get anywhere between 15 to 20 carries today. He's earned that load. With what he's done for us this season. Without him, we definitely have at least another loss on the schedule. It's the key to the game is going to be, can we establish the run, right, and not give Bo Nix a chance to go out there and Bo Nix it, right? Like it's it played Tennessee back into the game. And my secondary key to the game is no hero ball from Bo Nix. I don't see any hero ball today. Like, just go out there, execute against a bad team, right? We don't need you to be, some of what I've seen from him. I wonder how much of it is just ego, like just wanting to be the star of the show, rather than just manage the show and make sure that everybody plays their part. It's the only way I can explain some of these inexplicable end of the half things that Bo has done this season. Right, like situational awareness says his situational awareness at the end of the game is pointed to selfish, me first football. Now, I know if you're a teammate of Bo Nix, you might disagree with that, but on the outside looking in, it looks like to me, how could a second year starter in the SEC be that unaware, right, of time and down and distance, and it's just you're trying too hard make a play yourself rather than taking what's there and letting the talented people around you, right, do their jobs as well too. This team is talented enough on offense that he does not need to take it all on his shoulders. So no hero ball from Bo Nix today is gonna be key, because even though we have acknowledged that Tennessee is a bad team at this point, we cannot discount Auburn's ability to
blow it,
play bad teams back into the game, right?
Yeah.
And play down to the competition. So, that's where, if you're watching right now, if you watch our show, we're not, if you want sunshine pumping, there are shows for that. Jason Campbell has a show where he sunshine pumps, right? Like, there's other people out there who are pumping sunshine about Auburn football, right? I like to think that we're just more realistic about what we're seeing, right, on the field and what our chances are. So while we want Auburn to win every game, realistically, if you're just looking at history, there's nothing to suggest, right, that Auburn can't go out there and play down in Tennessee today. Yeah. And I'm hoping that we can reverse that trend. We've just never seen it consistently under this coaching regime. So I'm going to give a third key to the game, and it just comes out to coaching, right? How well prepared are we for this game? I put that 100% on coaches, 100%. You had to manage kind of a little bit of a COVID crisis, right? There are some things that every team is having to deal with this season. So that's not going to be an excuse for why we didn't go out and perform today, right? Not for me, it's not. Because everybody has been having to deal with it. I mean, Florida got hit hard, right? And look at them.
They did.
They had a massive COVID outbreak on the team. Had to take a couple weeks off, and they turned that into a super positive. I mean, Trask.
Mm-hmm.
It's a battle between Trask and I think he's thrown 26 touchdowns already this season versus two or three interceptions. He's on fire. Like, the only quarterback in our conference you can argue is better is Mac Jones, right? Mm-hmm. So I need to see, I think we're in a good place where we're not so dependent on our quarterback being the superstar because there's no talent around us. I think it's a good place to be, right? Yeah. So how well did the coaches prepare this team mentally for this game, right? And I think we'll see it. First drive, we'll see it. We'll see how well prepared for this game they are. They need to come out with a fire and just beat a bad team on enthusiasm alone.
Yeah.
Right. And then get yourself back into the national conversation.
All right, B. Well, what you got? Keys.
I got the keys. No, I'll just play. All right. So the keys for me, I want to see us run the ball down their throats. And I don't care if it's not sexy. I don't care if we don't see 3 weeks of pent up frustration from not playing come out early. I want us to grind these boys down to a nub. Their defense is the only place they will really have some fight. So what I want to see is early. Yeah, I expect them to come out fired up and all that stuff. Cool. by the middle of the second quarter, even if we can protect Bo with the run, I don't really want to see Bo. I don't want to see him throw the ball 15 times. I want to run the ball so much that there is no chance for Bo to blow this game, because I think eventually we wear them down,
Wait,
and
less than 15 throws?
that's what I want to see. That's not what I'm predicting. They still think they got mini Joe Montana back there, so they
Okay.
want to try to do more with Bo than they should, which is stupid. We've got a gold mine behind Bo right now between what they have managed to put together with the offensive line and Tank running the ball is something we have not had since 2017 and 2013 before that. Every time we can run the ball that well, we end up with a great team, if not a really good team. They messed up by not finding that in camp, which they didn't really have. I always want to give them a little bit of a pass for that. They didn't have the time to figure out what we had at offensive line and in the running backs room. We had to get running backs hurt, and I understand why you don't have Tank Bisbee as number one coming in as a true freshman. So giving them a little bit of the pass for early. We know it now though. I don't want to see anything but that. I want to see it the whole game. You can get a little creative with it, split it up, give Shiver some run, run them outside, get them going both ways, get them tired, get them thinking,
Right.
and eventually, I want to see us relentlessly just murder these boys by running the ball down their throats. You can have Bo throw, for a little dash of salt or a little parsley. I want Bo throwing some touchdowns at the end. That's the parsley. All right, but the meal was made the first, second, and third quarters mostly. That just kill them. That's what I want. That's the key to the game. They don't have enough on offense. I don't think that there's anything we should be scared of from them on offense. One or two shot plays, maybe. All right, you caught the slipping, but our secondary is too experienced. Our defensive line, even though I don't think they're great, they have been coming on, which is good for us. They've got time. Just like you said with Florida. Florida had that time off, right? They came out with a new fire, playing better on defense than they had played before that. I think we can do the same thing. I think we can be better
Right.
than we were before our break, and that this time should be focused. This time should be improvement, fundamentals. We should be better all around, and running the game is first though. Running the ball, that's the run game. That's first for me, and that's what I want to see. And I don't want to see the coaches get too cute and try to make too much of Bo as a quarterback this season in his stats. Who cares? Do what works and stick with it, and do it until they stop it. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I have to agree. I definitely think the run game is going to be a big key for me. I really want to see at least 350 yards of rushing this game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's combined between all the rushers, including Bo Nix. I think
Yes.
Bo Nix needs to have,
Yes.
50 to 60 yards on the ground today, right? Like not scrambling for his life getting first downs, but making decisions to escape the pocket when it's not there and just going and getting a first down or timely keeps on the read option, right? Like I want to see him 50 to 60 yards on the ground. I think would be ideal for today. The big thing for me is going to be how our defense performs, though, in stopping the run, because we need to make Garantano be the guy to have to beat us. Make him beat you because you're stifling the run. So I would love to see Tennessee overall in rushing be under 120 yards, like for the game. Like if we can get them under 120 yards for the game, that should be an automatic W for us if we're not turning the ball over, right? Like Garantano is not going to throw for 300 yards against us unless it's in garbage time.
Right.
And that needs to be the story for our defense. Keep them under 120 yards of rushing and just do what you do on the back end. So for me, those are going to be my big keys. 350 on the ground for us, under 120 for them. If we can do those things, we don't have to hit 350, but that's the mark that I want to see us be at to be a dominant team today.
Yeah.
350 versus under 120. I think that gets us in a very comfortable 2, maybe even 3-score victory today. Behind, without turnovers being a factor, right? Like you can't predict the turnover battle, but if I'm saying turnovers being equal in this game, those statistics equal an Auburn victory by 2 to 3 scores. All right, who do we want to see make splash plays today? Like who's that player? You can pick an offense and defense. You want to just go, I don't care. But who is that player that you need to see today Flash early and flash often. If somebody is picking Anthony Schwartz because I said flash and this wasn't some like thing I was trying to plan into your brain, but just saying. I'm gonna start with you on this one, B Will.
I,
B Will first, Mike.
You can't wait. Yeah. Okay. So they said we would still have some players not playing due to COVID, but we just don't know who.
Right.
So
Which
we won't
sucks
probably
for us trying
know.
to make these picks, but still.
Right. So that's a little bit of a heads up. So let's assume all our offensive starters, our normal offensive stars are in there. And the same for defense. I think it's fair. Let's assume everybody who has been playing is still
I don't know
playing.
that I like this, but okay.
They talk about for Tennessee or for us? Because for us, that's terrible.
If I say you need to clarify that.
Ooh, we.
That sounds we're terrible.
Yeah. I think the player I want to see the most. Again, you know what? I want to see Pregame. I want to see him get a couple carries on the sweep. I want to see Pregame get a couple carries. I'm kind of split between Pregame and Sherwood / Simpson. Like we're gonna get a couple picks. I want to see us get a couple picks. I think that secondary is the thing I'm most excited about. So I'm gonna switch mine. Forget it. I still want Pregame to do good. I want him to get a couple runs on the sweeps, but I want to see that secondary show out, man, because they're gonna try to run the ball. They're gonna try to throw the ball on us because Garantano is they're only gonna score. They only have a chance to win if they put the ball in the air, and they're gonna try it. And I want our secondary to crush them when they try it. So I'm saying Sherwood. You know what? I'm saying Sherwood or Tut. I want those boys to get some production back there, some broken up passes, and a couple of picks with that secondary. So that's what I'm going for. That's who I'm eyeing this game.
Okay. Who you got, Mike?
You know what? I've had a love affair with this defense all season. They continue to improve, but for today, I'm gonna go on the offensive side of the ball, and not because Ike subliminally planted in my mind, but y'all know I want to see Schwartz every game. I think in any offensive where we are find a way to get him the ball in space, where he is one of the most underutilized players that's come through our system, relative to the talent that he has. So I want to see Schwartz, if these kind of, game plan comes to fruition and they're throwing the ball and both throws less than 15 times today, a couple of those throws are going to be bombs to Schwartz, them trying to take the top off the defense.
Right.
And if we can get him involved, and seriously be a threat beyond 10 yards down the field, it will ease up a lot. Ease those linebackers back, it'll ease those lines back, and it's going to make a lot of lanes for Tank to and our run game as a whole to go, nuts, because like you're saying, 350 yards of rushing. I think the way that you accomplish that today, right, one of two ways: either just line up and smash it down their throats, right, or again, you get the ball to your playmakers in space to help keep them honest and take some pressure off this line. So I don't know why they don't hit Schwartz on slants more. Like, I just want to see Anthony Schwartz catch the ball stride. When he does, it's a beautiful thing to watch, right? And he's a fairly skilled runner. We just never get to see it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he can find lanes and juke, he cut. We just never get to see it because he doesn't get the ball a ton. So today I'm looking for Anthony Schwartz to do some things that make us excited about next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, for me, I think it's going to be. I really want to see. If he's going to be playing a lot, then I need to see him on the field making plays often, and that's going to be Marco Damio. We heard a lot about him in the preseason. If he's getting snaps out there, if he's playing, 40% of the defensive snaps, I need to see him making plays today. Whether that is he's covering so well that they can't throw it to his side, or he's coming up and he's being physical in the box. I want to see Marco Damio. I want to hear his name get called a lot today for pass breakups. I want to see what was advertised before the season. He should be fully healthy now, right? Like he came back and he played a little bit after being out earlier this season. He had 2 more weeks of no contact situations going on. Fully healthy, I want to see him out there making plays on the defensive side of the ball. For the offense, I really want to see what's going to happen with this H back / tight end position. So that's going to be a combination of 3 guys. That's going to be Pegues. That's going to be Schenker is going to be out there playing a lot of that. And then the other kid that we were just talking about, whose name is escaping me right now, the other tight end that is
Deal?
supposed to be. No, not Deal, even though he's going to be the 4th guy that's going to be in there playing. The other one that's supposed to be healthy today.
Is it what's his name? Fromm's little brother? Is he playing this year?
Nah, that's not the one I'm trying to think of either. And I should have had this name ready, and I apologize. The other tight end that we have that anyway, somebody can look it up and put it in the chat if you know who I'm talking about. But he's supposed to be a guy that's supposed to be like a really good tight end. He caught a couple passes early, got hurt. He's supposed to be back today. Anyway, but I do want to see that position featured a lot in this game. What I'm hoping they don't do a lot of is the, how they run the situation where they're doing the fake give to the running back, and then they have the tight end crossing the face, and then they just do the quick dump off. They did that to Pegues like 3 or 4 times. Frazier, thank you. Somebody just put it. Frazier is the guy I'm trying to think of. Brandon Frazier. So I want to see Brandon Frazier get his name called a few times today too. I just want to see that be a part of our game plan down the field. Like I don't want to see it just be the little dump off stuff where they're faking the give. I want to see it down the field a little bit. So hopefully we'll get to see that position being featured in the middle of the field, making Tennessee, again, have to play the entire field today and not just focus on one thing, because the run game is going to be predominantly featured. But I want to see those guys making plays, even if it's just in blocking today and securing the edge when we're trying to get around to the outside. I need to see those guys getting their name called for either great blocks or having timely catches for first downs or things that we need in the middle of the field. So that's what I'm hoping
saying that with the tight ends made me think we're going into Bama week. We know Gus that's pretty much the only time we can count on us to play up to our full potential and then some against one opponent any season. We know it's going to be Bama, but we also every year up until now, since we've been playing this home and home with Bama, get the week before them either off or we get a cupcake game. So this is the first time in a very, very long time we do not have basically an open week before Bama. How does that play into, number one, what we decide to show? Because we know we want to give them more stuff to think about. And we haven't had a chance to show so much because we just found a rhythm against LSU and we did a couple things that we hadn't done before then. But now we didn't get the Mississippi State game to put more stuff on tape. If we wanted them to think more about the tight ends, then this is our last chance to put some routes on tape with the tight ends or some action on tape with the tight ends that makes them go, all right, look, we got to prepare for this. So for that reason alone, I think you're probably right that we do a couple things with the tight ends that we have not done to this point. I think there's a really good chance of that because he's got to start gaming them. He games them. That's how he beats Bama usually. He games them. So it's like, all right, you were prepared for that action, right? Here's with the counterpunch right here. But we don't have a lot of action that has been our staple this year because we didn't find our staple until week 3 or 4. And then we got all this time off. So we haven't had the chance to establish identity in the way we have in seasons past. So I definitely think he tries to do that at least some this week. Yeah, especially because it's an opponent we should be able to control. It's like, all right, we should be able, our bread and butter should work. Now
we can do what we want.
Here's some stuff to think about. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we'll see how the game plan works out. But that's the thing too, is like it has to be opponent specific game plans, right? So like even if he's showing flashes of it against Tennessee today, it might not even make it into the Bama game. It just needs to be on tape so they can say, oh, wait a minute, we weren't expecting this.
Right.
And then some game plan that's specifically attacking Alabama's defense.
Yep.
Oh, true. All right, that's all we got for today. We will be back at you guys at the halftime. Hopefully we will be back at halftime with smiles on our faces talking about how we're looking dominant in the first half and we're cruising our way to a victory here. But it's Auburn, so we just gonna take what we get and get down to the end of the game. And W is really what I want to see at the end of the day. I'm not going to give any score predictions this week. I'm lying. I am. We're going to go 32-15 today is going to be my score prediction today for the game. I just threw that off randomly.
32-15.
Yeah, I'm 32-15 is what I'm predicting.
I say
the score.
27-13 Auburn.
27-13. That's a good one. Mike, you want to throw a random score prediction out there too?
I I know what I wanted. I'm stuck between my head and my heart on this one, right? My head says that if we continue the type of offensive production that we've had the last couple of weeks, this team should score 35 to 42 points on Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, uh, but a ball control type game may not just, you know what I mean? You may limit possessions, right? And not allow for, high scoring. But I do think that Garantano is bad enough that we might get some short fields as well, too. So I'm going to go 35-14 Auburn. This
Awesome.
one.
All right. Well, we will see y'all back here at the half. Click like and subscribe on the YouTube so that you are aware every time we're doing that. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We should be live tweeting throughout the game just randomly. You can check in with us there. TikTok, TW Rapport. We are there. So make sure you are tuning in over there. We'll start getting back into our top 10s coming up here. So we'll holler at y'all at the half, and we will look forward to it. Until then, War Eagle.
War